when you look at your marketing, does it make you go, ugh? Because I hear you. I'm going to receive that feeling. I get it. It's okay. Step into it a little bit. It can feel hard. And we can fix it. Let go of the ick. And let's talk to Ray, because she's here today to tell us a little bit about herself, why this topic matters to her, and why it should matter to you. Ray, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Tell the world a little bit about yourself, because we need to know, because there are too many people who are just ready to about their marketing.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. So, real quick, my background is actually not in marketing. I started out in the field of psychology. So, I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, a master's in professional clinical counseling and marriage and family therapy, and a master's in criminology. And while I was on track to be a counselor in the prison system, and I worked in a drug rehab center and a community counseling center and a mental hospital, all the while I was putting myself through school in this new career path by freelance writing. And eventually I decided I was so burned out on the revolving door of the mental health world that I threw myself full time into my freelance writing business. And now, 17 years later, here we are, and I've married the two into a marketing agency where we really combine the power of understanding not just psychology and neuroscience, but also the emotion that goes along with decision making and human behavior, and combining that with marketing in order to get rid of that ick factor. Because I've talked to so many businesses who they tell me, hey, I need you to tell me what to do with my marketing. And I hate social media. I hate marketing myself. It just feels so icky. And that is such a common problem. And the real issue at heart there is that so much of what we learn about marketing online, so much of what we receive as consumers is manipulative marketing. So everything that I do for our clients and everything I teach people who want to do it on their own in-house is to not be manipulative and to really be the connector, the problem solver.
Well, there we are. If anybody's been on this ride with me for long enough, you know that I've just fallen in love. And everybody sees me scribbling notes as people are talking. And this time I've got almost a novel written just from everything that you've shared with us just now. Because one of those things that just irks me to my core is this, what I was calling misleading marketing. I think that your word is a lot stronger. It's manipulative. And this is
Yeah.
rooted in, bullshit rhetoric.
Yeah.
This is propaganda. This isn't real connective, relationship forming, long-term, sustainable marketing, right?
Exactly. Yeah. The marketing that we're right. And the marketing that we're used to, especially as consumers on the receiving end, is FOMO. It's scarcity. It's buy this now or you're dumb, or buy this now or you're missing out, or buy this now or you're going to be wasting money in the future. It makes people feel like they're being pressured into doing something that they wouldn't normally be doing. And that is the thing that is causing all of this ick is for too long, people have confused marketing and sales. That is a sales tactic used at a point when someone is not ready to make a purchase. Whereas what marketing should be is exactly what you said, which is a relationship building. It needs to be a gradual, slower, longer term process of learning about each other and then allowing someone to take steps closer to you on their own volition, as opposed to trying to wrangle them in and manipulate them and corral them and then drag them to the cart. That's not what marketing should be. It should really be a problem solution, very symbiotic relationship.
I think that you make a really good point in that comparison with sales, because truly those kind of smarmy tactics in sales, they're only needed, and I'm going to use bunny ears here, they're only needed if you haven't really done a good job with your marketing.
Exactly. Yeah.
They,
And
they really do. They hold hands. They work together if you let them.
Right. And often when I go into a new company and I look at the two teams, the sales and marketing teams, they're pointing fingers at one another. They're going, oh, sales is saying, oh, marketing's not getting us good enough leads. And marketing saying, we're getting you leads. You're just not closing. You're not doing your job. And the problem is they become these rivals when really they should be two halves of the same coin. So one of the first things I do when I start with a new team at a new company is healing that internal relationship so that sales can feed language to marketing and say, hey, look, this is what I've learned. This is what I'm hearing from the people I'm talking to. They're struggling with this, or they're not ready to buy yet because of this, or they're giving me this answer, or this excuse, or this no, or they're telling me, yes, they're ready because of XYZ. Then suddenly we can use that in marketing, and marketing's job really, and I know a lot of marketers are going to hate me for saying this, but marketing's job should be to make the sales team's job easier. Marketing should not be to sell, it should be to make selling easier by getting that buyer 80 to 90% pre sold by answering all of their questions so they are a really educated and informed and savvy buyer along the way. So that when they finally connect with that sales rep, really they just have a few logistical questions they need answered. And then finally it's boom, done, closed.
And that's exactly it. And that's something that I think people confuse, is this idea of conversion within the world of marketing. Because in marketing, a lot of times when you're saying conversion, you're not necessarily meaning the sale.
Right.
We're talking about action. We're talking
Yes.
about read the blog, right? We want these people to be informed. We're talking about book the call so that you
Yes.
can actually have that conversation that is about sales, but you're not there yet. Right? This is a different type of dynamic. This is a different space within the client journey that you're addressing while you're marketing. So I think that's a really good point. Another
Yeah.
thing you mentioned was two sides of the same coin with regards to marketing and sales.
Mm.
Something that I've said in the past about two sides of the same coin is this idea of marketing um, with intention from the marketer, who in some cases, a lot of my clients are solopreneurs and micro business
Mhm.
owners. So it's either them or a very small team working in that space.
Mhm.
And then the other side of the coin is actually the consumer, and like how they engage with that same coin, right? And finding that balance, because not only do you need to make sure that you're connecting deeply with your audience, but you also need to feel aligned with
Mhm.
how you're doing it. And that can change how you perceive whether marketing is icky or, dare I say it, fun.
Right. And that's the thing is people don't even think marketing can be fun. They think, "Oh, I'm gonna have to sell my soul in order to sell my services or sell my product." That's not the case. And in fact, and anybody who knows me outside of work knows that I'm super woo-woo and all into like the energy of the way people connect. And it's like when you're standing in line at the grocery store and you can't see anything behind you, but you know that someone just stepped up behind you. You didn't hear them, but you can just feel that there's another human behind you. You can feel the energy of people. And the same thing is true in your marketing, where if you are thinking, God, I don't want to have to write this landing page. God, I don't want to have to market myself. But you do it anyway and you publish it. People are going to feel that same ick and like, please don't look at this kind of vibe as they're experiencing your marketing. Whereas if you throw everything, throw all the shoulds out the window of, I'm supposed to do this or I should be doing this. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Your book.
Love that.
If you
That's
throw
good.
all those shoulds out and you just think about what would I really love to create, and you can't stop there though, that's not enough. It's also what would actually be helpful to the people that I want to connect with. Because when you're building that bridge, you can't just build your side, you also have to build the other side, and it has to be equally as strong. So a lot of that's another place where a lot of people go wrong, where they just say, I'm just going to talk about what I love and I'm just going to talk and talk and talk. Well, yeah, you're talking and that's great. People are learning about you, but you're not solving their problems. So they have no reason to come closer to you. And if you do that, you start with what you love and gets you passionate and gets you riled up. And I'm just like, bouncing in my chair here, just talking about the stuff that I love. And then you also think, what could I do? What could I create that would help people? That's when you're going to find your marketing magic.
Absolutely. I love the bridge idea. I've always thought that, you know, asking people to take a leap in your
Hmm.
marketing is a challenge, right? You want to build them the
Right.
bridge and meet them where they're at. But the other idea here is, if somebody's really visual as well, is the idea of the Venn diagram. Circle,
Yes.
circle, the overlap. That's where you create, right? Where what
Yes.
excites you, what's going to excite them, create right in the middle. And
Right.
that's what's going to get you kind of lit up. And that doesn't stop at just the uh, themes and topics that you talk about. That also includes like how you go about doing it.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you love to dance on TikTok? Then freaking do it that way, man. Like, go nuts. You don't
Yeah.
like that? It's okay. You want to write a blog? Awesome. Leverage that. Whatever makes you joyful is where you should be kind of narrowing your attention. But you also said something earlier that really tickles my fancy, and it's this idea of the savvy buyer. It's this idea of
Mhm.
keeping people informed, but also understanding that they're already very informed. Like, how do we address that? We don't want to just throw more shit on the pile, so to speak.
Right. Right. Yeah. So when I talk about a savvy buyer, there's two aspects of that. There's one, which is buyers nowadays, and this goes for B2B and B2C, they are savvy. We all know what's a commercial nowadays. We all know what is. So there's this great South Park episode where they talk about content marketing and how, oh, wait, no, that's not actually news. That's actually an ad. And it's, oh, just write some articles about car insurance and how today's consumers need to be really scrutinizing and just link to Progressive or just link to Allstate. That's advertising. That is content marketing. That is
Mhm.
not news. And so people are aware of these things now. They know the tricks. They know when they are being marketed to. And so one thing that I think has really evolved in the last 10 years, especially, is companies must have a newfound respect for their buyers. Prior to the last 10 years, companies were really disrespectful towards buyers. They treated them like they're stupid. They treated them like they were easy to manipulate and persuade and convince. That's not the case. It really shouldn't have been before, but it's especially not now. And you have to treat your buyers with respect. You have to say, hey, look, I know you can see through the fact that I'm reaching out to you on LinkedIn and you're probably expecting me to try and sell you something. I promise I'm not. Let me just I'm really just trying to expand my audience. I'm going to be honest with you. And I have this new resource that I think could be helpful to you because of your job title. Can I just give it to you? That's all. I swear I'm not going to ask you to book a call with me. Just be respectful of the fact that they're not dumb. And I'm really, this is where I start to get on my soapbox. I'm so tired of companies treating us like we're stupid. And that's not a way to win over a bigger audience.
Absolutely. And this is something that's really important, and it crosses a lot of barriers in the marketing world, because not only are you talking about this whole transparency thing, being an open door in that regard, just saying, hey, I get it. You're not dumb. I'm not dumb. I just want to hear. Like, take
Yeah.
it or leave it, right? Um, but it also goes and crosses kind of that barrier of your branding,
Hmm.
right? This also addresses, am I willing to be vulnerable enough to not hold myself up on this arbitrary pedestal, which is what
Right.
these brands had been doing in the past, is being
Right.
like, I know everything because I'm an authority. And that's fine and dandy. Like, you want to build yourself up as an authority. I'm not going to knock that idea, but not in that way, at least not anymore. We want
Right.
to be vulnerable and real, authentic, and approachable. This is where branding, the branding element of marketing, this is where branding is evolving to. People
Yeah.
don't want to buy into a brand just because of prestige so much anymore. People want to have a
Exactly.
relationship. They want to know that you have similar beliefs and that you're standing for what is right in their world.
Exactly. And I think nowadays, when we're surrounded by AI everything, I mean, friggin' Gemini is in every single window that I open up on my computer. It's everywhere. It is sometimes helpful, but 97% of the time it's obnoxious. And people are tired of talking to chat bots. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I have had this experience of being a customer, going to a website, trying to get some help, and I'm just typing in all capitals because I'm so angry at this point. Human, human. I just want a human. Just give me to a human who can actually understand what I'm saying and not try to send me to a help article.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are craving that human connection and human understanding. So that is the second piece of this, what makes a savvy buyer. One is they're savvy to marketing strategies and they know how to recognize being manipulated nowadays. The other piece of it is you want to give people what they want so that they can be a better educated, more informed buyer. So if you think about your sales team, and if you have a sales team, I know a lot of people here are their own sales team. And if you're hearing the people that you're talking to say things like, oh, well, I don't know about this, or maybe they have unrealistic expectations. So, for example, within my team, we do a lot of content creation, content production. And one of the things that we do, which is content enrichment to help people climb up the rankings in their content, it's a long process. It takes us 9 weeks, and we can do multiple pieces of content at once, but it's a 9-week process. And so when a client comes to me and goes, oh, well, I don't understand why it costs that much, I have to educate them on everything that goes into improving the SEO rankings and all the things we have to create on the front end and the back end in order to accomplish that. Now, if I were to do that in my marketing and they experienced that, they read that blog article, if they watched that video, they're going to have a greater appreciation for my services by the time we actually talk. So it's helping them be better buyers by giving them that knowledge and then also giving them a way to connect with you because they are craving that human connection as opposed to just AI responses that, they look right, but they feel hollow.
Absolutely. And being informed is such a multifaceted state of being for a potential client or customer. I
Yeah.
think that, you know, you can also lean into this whole misinformed,
Yeah.
right? So this is a part of our role as marketers, whether you have a team or whether you're doing it on your own, is to make sure that you're sharing the truth of the matter, which
Hmm.
again leans on that idea of being vulnerable and making sure that you're being as transparent as possible, while
Yeah.
still, of course, um, maintaining your boundaries and
Mhm.
everything else that you set up around yourself for a variety of different reasons.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like we've dove into a lot here. Like a lot. There are people here who are like glued. I can see you. I see you. You're glued and you're like, okay, but what next? Oh my God. Now, if we dive into what next in its fullest capacity, I feel like we're going to be recording another show, which may very well happen. So
Yeah.
stick around. But but for now, let's think a little bit more on the idea of, okay, before we overwhelm you with information, which is another aspect of this being informed bit,
Hmm.
um, I'm going to give you the opportunity to kind of do after all that, what do they really need to know now moving forward? All of our
Hmm.
wonderful people who are watching now. I'm going to give you a moment to think about that because I know we address a wide array of information here. Um, but in the meantime, I want to remind everybody here that this type of conversation happens every single week. We dive into the nitty gritty. Now, is it always specific to marketing strategies and back end sales and all that jazz? No. Sometimes we talk about Harry Potter. But it's always from the point of view of marketing, branding, and how we show up in the world and all the different things that influence that because you are never not marketing. So take a moment, ring the bell, make sure that you're subscribed so that you don't miss another show. With that, I'm going to take a back seat. And Ray, please tell the people what they need to hear.
Yeah. So, we started this episode talking about how to get that ick factor out of your marketing. And one of the things that I will always gladly get on my soapbox about is that marketing is heavily influencing the way that consumers feel. There was a study that I just looked up the other day that says that adults by the year 2026, adults will spend 12 hours and 36 minutes consuming media. Now, that's typically in a multitasking scenario most of the time throughout our days. But between the news that we hear and the radios we play in our cars, or the, Spotify and Pandora that we listen to while we're driving, and then we have podcasts that we consume, and videos that we watch, and social media that we scroll through, and TV shows that we watch, and the previews that come on before, there's so much media that we're consuming. And that has a huge impact on the way that people feel. And it's my personal mission to heal the relationships between businesses and buyers. And that starts with companies understanding that they cannot make their audience feel crappy. They have to make them feel good, and they have to provide the solution that they're promising. So if we go back to that idea of the absolute bare necessity of how to get rid of the ick factor in your marketing, it goes back to that golden rule that we all learned as a kid. Treat people the way that you want to be treated, because ultimately your marketing is how your business treats people. That is the mechanism by which you treat people. So treat them well. Do marketing that you love and that you would feel good about experiencing as a consumer on the other side of it. Just go back to that golden rule.
Oh, I love it so much. And you have really cool ways to help people with that to start their journey. Speaking of being informed, why don't you tell them a little bit more about the demand generator brainstorming kit?
Yes, so all of this stuff I'm talking about, there's so much that you can do within your marketing. I mean, the CBT triangle, the prospect profiling, there's so much psychology that you can bring into it. And I know that can feel really overwhelming for people. So where I like for people to start is with this demand generation brainstorming kit. And you can get this for free on pretty much everything that I do for my clients. I also give away templates and tools and tutorials for free, so that if you can't afford to outsource help, you can do it within your own business on your own. And this demand gen brainstorming kit will get you started on that. And it's how to really brainstorm what is that content that's going to be helpful to my target audience. And then when you, as you said, Shauna, overlap that with the Venn diagram of what do I love to create? What am I excited to create? That's where you're going to find your starting point. That's your sweet spot.
Beauty. I absolutely love it. This is going to be such an impactful time for anybody who is downloading that today, because not only was it on the QR code on the screen, but it's also in the show notes. You want to get in there and find out exactly, even if you think that you've got it done, right? Review it. If you haven't refreshed it in a hot minute, review what you're doing. See if there's any gaps you can fill or any clogs you can stretch out. This is the way to do it, to dive into amazing resources like Ray. Now, with that, don't forget that I'm here for you too. So if you want to reach out and just ask a few questions, I always like to make sure. I doubt that I have the repertoire of resources that Ray has in her back pocket, but pocket. Isn't that fun? In her back pocket. But I am here for you, and I love connecting and chatting online, because that whole AI thing, I get it. I like it. I use it, but not for connecting with people. So when you ask me questions, I love to answer. So follow along, ask the question. I'm here for you. I got you covered. With that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Make sure you tune into the next episode, because it's going to be a doozy. We'll chat soon. See you later now.